Okay, we're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn what a swell Boston Tea Party it is.
Hey, welcome everybody to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Corey Pepper, who is a very different voice than the voice that you usually hear at the top of the show, which is usually Scott Jones, who's off today. First of all, Paul Packler, who's with me, of course. Don't we have to wish Scott and Kerry the best wishes for their new baby? They're pregnant again.
It's crazy. They're like a mini Keaton clan right now. They have just next week. Next week we have the big 2-part series episode about the birth of Andy Keaton, and we're announcing, ta-da! Scott and Kerry are expecting a kid.
And it's a girl too, according to something that I read. I thought it was a girl.
Yeah, and they're naming the girl Paula, so that's really nice.
Right after you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say, but you know,
it sure seems that way. That it's an honoring, an homage to you. Unless,
yes.
Of course, you were
Paula Packler.
Paula Packler.
Oh no,
you haven't been on the West Coast.
Paula Packler Jones.
Right. Okay.
No.
What would make her Paula
Are you trying to so?
That would make her Paula Jones.
Oh, Paula Jones. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Paula Jones, who sued President.
Yeah, got him impeached. It was the Paula Jones hearing.
That's right. And let's be realistic about this. If you had Paula Jones in a room, I would probably make a pass at a man before I would make a pass at Paula Jones.
Yeah. There are a lot more attractive men than Paula Jones.
And I know this is probably going to get a lot of nasty comments, but I believe she is running at today's Kentucky Derby.
Oh man.
I'm so sorry to say that, but she is.
Yeah.
Wow.
That Bill Clinton.
You know, this episode, Paul, we have not discussed our feelings for this episode at all.
No, you made a point to say that we shouldn't and would not discuss it until we got on air.
Because I wanted you to throw some episodes out that we've spoken of in the past, like the Ming episode. The Ming episode that was dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
Other dreadful episodes that you can think of. What other one? There was one other one this season that we hated.
Well, I mean, last week was awful. The anti-death episode.
Right, Aunt Trudy's death was terrible. For some reason, this one takes the cake for me. Just the very concept of this. This is the worst episode we've ever seen.
Now, give us a quick rundown of what it's about, or the title of it, or just so people know what we're dealing with here.
At home, it's season 3, episode 16. It's entitled "The Philadelphia Story," and quickly give you a log line. Alex falls asleep while doing a school project about Thomas Jefferson. And his dream is that the entire Keaton family is part of revolutionary America in 1776, present at the signing or the creation of the Declaration of Independence.
Right, exactly. And so now, based on that, what was the part of it that this episode got your ire up so much? Was it the story was so nothing, or was it the production, or what?
That there was no story after they went to Philadelphia in Alex's dream when he fell asleep at the kitchen table. Nothing happened. There was no story. There was nothing. It was an idea. It was like wow, if 1776 met the Wizard of Oz, this is what would have happened.
Totally. The musical 1776.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. It's just
and that was something.
Go ahead.
That's what was funny to me, is that you could see like the guy that they cast to play John Adams, who also plays a character that knows Stephen in real life type thing. He looks exactly like the guy who played John Adams in the film 1776. What's his name? The guy that played Mr. Feeney.
Yes, William Daniels from The Boy Meets World.
Exactly, yeah. And you could just tell that they were sort of using a lot of templates and stuff to make you remember the musical, the film 1776.
Absolutely. Of course, 30 years later, in light of, say, Hamilton on Broadway being such a hit, it sort of pales in comparison. It's a very sort of a low-grade kind of success, although I do enjoy 1776. Let me make my musical theater friends happy. I like 1776 a lot. I think it's a good musical.
Yeah.
But
no! I really like that show.
And I like the fact that they use so much stuff that was taken from letters that were written from Washington to Adams and Adams to Washington. A lot of real stuff that happened was put into it. So they researched and they did a good job. And yeah, it comes off a little bit like a history class, but that's all right. I don't mind that. So does Hamilton from my point of view too. It comes off a little like a history class. But this
here's a quick. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
There's a quick anecdote that the film of 1776, obviously based on the Broadway musical that had come out before it, President Nixon, the guy that produced 1776, the film, was a staunch Republican and gave Nixon a pass at the script or let him like cut things out of it in order to make it more patriotic. So the film is a little bit different than the musical in order to be more right-wing.
Mm-hmm. And there definitely were things like the last shot of the dream sequence was stolen directly from 1776.
Mm-hmm.
The moment, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and when it goes from a shot of our actors in Family Ties signing the Declaration of Independence, it fades into that very famous painting of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And that's exactly what the last moment of the musical 1776 was. The entire stage becomes exactly that picture, and a scrim comes down with the painting on it, and they sort of fades backlight to the front light, that you see that the actors were exactly in the same position as the famous painting. So they sort of do that here at the end of this show. Unfortunately, there's 22 minutes of awfulness that precedes that.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's like this episode, it's in improv there's this thing that you do when you're doing long form improv where it's like you do a scene between a child and a teenager and their mother asking for the keys to the car, and then it's called an analogous scene, where the next scene what you would do is take it out and be like the president asking the no, it would be like someone underneath the president asking him for the keys to the nuclear codes. And so it's analogous because it's the same relationship dynamic, and then you just change it and heighten it. And so in this episode, we have Alex trying to convince Steven to go to a hearing in front of Congress in Washington, D.C., and then the analogous is that Alex is now time traveling and is telling Steven as playing Thomas Jefferson to write the Declaration of Independence. But this does not make for good storytelling or for good 22 minutes of television.
Alex goes time traveling? How'd they ever think of that idea?
Well, Corey, this is so fucked up. Like, this is the episode right before, like, I was reading about it and stuff, and this is the episode right before he started to shoot Back to the Future. Like, this is the last one. After this, Michael J. Fox is doing, 21-hour days. But it's crazy. It's about time travel. He talks about destiny all the time. It's like throughout this 3 seasons so far, there is a destiny of Michael J. Fox to be in this upcoming film that creates him as an A-list star. It's really weird.
Although I will hand it to this episode, it is the earliest use of the note, "Please make it stop," that I've ever written down. Somewhere into the first act, I wrote down in capital letters, "Please make it stop." And then I wrote down in the second act at one point, "Oh my God, it won't end." It was It's the dream sequence that just sets me over the edge. It's like, oh no, really? This is where they went to on this episode? It was really ill-advised.
Yeah. Well, let's start at the top and work our way through this mess. It won't take very long because the plot is non-existent.
It doesn't exist. I was trying to tell my wife the story last night, and I told her the log line, the one line, and then she kept looking at me like there was more. I said, oh, don't think there's any more story than Alex falls asleep while writing a project about Thomas Jefferson. That's it. That's the story. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Yeah. So we're in the kitchen, and it's raining outside. And we're in the kitchen, and Mom is making a delicious meal. First of all, we got to stop and ask the question, what's the story with Elise in this episode? It looks to me like she already had the baby in real life, and yet she still has some weight on her from the baby. I mean, it looks like they got her out of the hospital room, and that she's still, like the placenta hasn't exactly emerged from her yet.
they got her in that half hour, and they were like, nope, you got 22 minutes, you're going to shoot this episode.
She walked over the kid, but not the placenta, and they grabbed her for an episode in between.
Right. They just kept shooting her from the waist up. They were just like, nope. No, but that's the thing. She looks so markedly different that you wouldn't even realize she was pregnant, like in the reality of the show, until they say, "Oh, Mom, you're gonna have a baby."
That's what I wrote down. What is the deal with her? I couldn't figure it out. It was like, oh, is she pregnant? Oh, I guess the baby hasn't come yet in the show, but it looks like it did in real life. It was terrible. But she is making, however, the delicious meal of soy meal and hearts of palm, which is a couple of wacky foods they have in this episode.
Now, explain, because I eat Chipotle only. So what is that crap? Is that tasty? Is that good?
I don't know. It's soy meal. Soy meal would be like how they have like fake ground meat made of soy. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's like soy meal. And hearts of palm are actually good. It's similar to asparagus. They're long stalks. They're very almost no flavor at all to them, but you put them in salad and stuff. It's like, it actually comes from the palm tree.
Okay. So this is literally the most bland food ever.
Absolutely. And it appears at the beginning of this episode, and I'm wondering what you thought, that Michael J. Fox actually had a cold. And I think they wrote it into
the thing that was really... Yeah, perhaps, yeah, because I mean, it really didn't make any sense for the dream sequence, because it wasn't like, oh, he had taken cough medicine and ended up hallucinating. But it was funny because I was writing down. Yeah, I wrote down, wow, he does a really good sick voice. You know, it's like some people are good at affecting like they have a cold, and I don't know if Michael J. Fox is good at that or if he had a cold, because it was really hard to tell.
It was hard to tell, but it was going on so consistently, and they made that one early reference to it, and then he sneezed, and then I kept on thinking, wow, is it in the plot? Do they put it into the plot at all? And they don't touch it at all in the plot. So my gut feeling was that they just added the lines in at the beginning just to excuse the fact that Michael J. Fox had a cold. And he did have that like nasally sound on his voice very early in the episode.
Yeah, like when you make your N sound like a D, when you're like, like that sort of thing.
But he appears to be sick, but thankfully Jennifer gets a glass of orange juice very early. Instead of giving it to her brother who really is sick, in this first scene, Jennifer has a glass of orange juice.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty fucked up. I thought that Jennifer was withholding in some way, like Mrs. Bluth just gets off on being withholding.
Yes. It was like, hey, give your brother a glass of orange juice. Clearly he has a cold. Even if it is Tang, go ahead, give it to him anyway. And then he's...
And you know what?
Yeah.
Oh, two things. I have to say, and I'm going to like kill myself after saying this, is that, for some reason, they seem to have shot this on film or something. This episode looks so different, the stock of how it looks. And I think if they went back in time, it would look more filmic or something.
I felt the same way. I felt it had a weird look to it, especially the Continental Congress set that they made, there were like holes in the walls. Everything was really weird looking. It was like, wow, you spent no money on this set. You got like some bare drywall, 3-sided set, and you just sort of set it up, and it looked terrible. It looked like they spent $4 on this episode.
Absolutely. And so because of the coloring and the difference in color and the way the film stock looked and everything, as opposed to normal TV video, it looked like Tang.
It was the television equivalent of Tang. This show is to television what Tang is to orange juice.
Yes, yes. And then the other crazy thing is that when Mallory comes in to talk to everybody, you know, and say hi and everything, she dips her finger into the bowl of this raw crap and then licks it like it's frosting.
What was it? It was like the soy meal and the hearts of palm, and she like took a scooped out a finger of it. Oh, it was disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really gross.
Mm-hmm.
But then Mallory and Alex have to talk about he's tacked up onto the wall, the Jonathan Trumbull or John Trumbull painting, the one that we were talking about, and the what the hell is it called? Declaration of Independence. And she's like, what's that? And he tells her, and he's like, this is the painting. This is the Declaration of Independence. I'm sitting there, and I go, well, then how did you get it? And then she goes,
how did you get it?
Mm-hmm. It's always a good sign when you can predict a punchline like years in advance.
See that coming a mile away? He's also, for a change, he's so condescending to her. Whenever he gets on his pulpit about anything, like, well, Mallory, if you'd paid a little attention at school, you would know. Oh, condescending. Why be so mean to your sister? And she's not that dumb. We all know she's not that dumb, but they let her play really dumb in the scene too.
You know what? I think it's a trope. Oh shit! Here, wait 1 second. Let's stop and start recording. There's something wrong with the sound.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.